It's what it is. I don't often think it becomes an issue if you're watching it in men's sports most of the time. And my relationship with Caitlin is great. Like, I love Caitlin. I ride with her. Like, we have a great relationship. And I think that the narrative of people trying to make it something that it's not is just, taking sensationalism to try to get some clicks and all the other stuff.
That friction right there, that is not standard player-coach communication. That is a fundamental structural disconnect playing out under the bright lights of national scrutiny. When Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White references sensationalism to brush off the rising tension with franchise cornerstone Caitlin Clark, she is attempting to minimize a narrative that the underlying footage completely exposes. This is not a manufactured internet controversy. The body language, the abrupt substitutions, and the strategic misalignment suggest a coaching staff at total odds with the unique, high-octane skill set of its generational talent.
Help me be a better coach. We're both competitive. We're both stubborn.
That's the problem right there. You stubborn and you want to do things your way. If you riding for her, then why are you subbing her out the game every damn 3 minutes? Why are you subbing her out the game every 3 minutes if you ride for her? Why are you not creating a system on offense and defense that suits to her strengths? Why is there no plays run for her to get open looks? Why is there nothing drawn up for Caitlin Clark? We watch 4 quarters of basketball without.
The breakdown on the floor is tangible. The statistics back up exactly what the tape reveals, a complete absence of structured sets designed to maximize the specific long-range gravity of the number 1 overall pick. Instead of an offense built around rapid transition, high screen and rolls, and immediate cross-court kick-outs, the half-court execution frequently leaves Clark stranded on the perimeter while the shot clock bleeds out. When you watch 4 full quarters of professional basketball and cannot identify a single baseline stagger or elevator screen drawn, music, up to give your primary playmaker an open look, that is a direct failure of offensive architecture. Remember this tactical failure, because it explains the growing calls for a clean break at the top of the organization.
Had this for about 10 years as a head coach. What do you learn about player-coach tension, and does any of it change or not change because of the spotlight that's on you, the Fever and Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, this is not new. It's not a new thing. It's just new because everything that she does gets clicks. That's how everybody makes money, right?
Stephanie White frames the constant media scrutiny as a simple cash grab, arguing, music, that everything Clark touches generates clicks and revenue. But here is what that defensive answer leaves out: the massive influx of viewers brings an unprecedented level of tactical accountability to the WNBA. For years, suboptimal coaching decisions, poor roster construction, and stagnant offensive systems could fly under the radar because the ambient media noise was minimal. That era is officially over. The feet of the coaching staff are being held to the absolute fire by millions of fans who recognize elite basketball spacing, and the current Fever leadership clearly resents being audited by the public.
Player confrontation / tension / coaching. 10 years ago when I was doing this, or 15 years ago when I was, however long it wasn't on social media. Like, that was just getting started.
Exactly. You was used to getting away with it. You was used to getting away with it.
Right? It happens in every sport. It happens in all walks of life. So this is not anything that's new, and it's.
The claim that social media is the only reason this tension feels new is a convenient shield. While it is true that public platforms accelerate the news cycle, the internal corporate dynamics at play here are deeply complex. This structural divide becomes even more critical when you consider the long-term leverage Clark holds over the franchise. Fans are actively urging her to leverage her massive commercial power to force major organizational changes, rather than signing a massive long-term contract extension that locks her into an incompatible system. If the coaching staff remains rigid, the possibility of a major roster and leadership explosion at the end of the season becomes an inevitability.
Staying long-term surrounds her significant other, Connor McCaffrey. Now, we know Connor McCaffrey played at the University of Iowa. He attended Iowa during the same stretch as Caitlin Clark or whatever. And he's been with her in Indiana, and he's been pursuing his coaching career. He's coached. He was an assistant with the Butler Bulldogs last season. I believe he coached with a G League team before, and all of this stuff. Obviously, he's worked with Pacers before as well. You see his relationship with Tyrese Halliburton, and it looks like he's taken another job that will keep him in Indiana.
Now, a massive piece of off-court leverage has just dropped directly into the center of this Indiana power struggle, and it changes the entire geometry of Clark's long-term future with the franchise. On Monday, insider Scott Agnes of Fieldhouse Files reported that former Iowa forward Connor McCaffrey, who has been dating Clark for several years, has officially accepted a new coaching position as a player development assistant for the Noblesville Boom. The Boom are the direct NBA G League affiliate of the Indiana Pacers, operating right under the exact same corporate umbrella as the Indiana Fever. This major career move places McCaffrey just a short 40-minute drive away from the Fever's home court, anchoring his own professional coaching journey firmly within the state of Indiana. This development has immediately caused a massive wave of reaction across the WNBA landscape. For casual observers, it looks like a definitive sign that Clark is settling in for the long haul, preparing to sign an epic franchise extension to remain the face of the Indiana organization for the next decade. The proximity of her significant other within the same local sports ecosystem creates a powerful, emotional, and geographic anchor. But, for analysts tracking the internal fractures between Clark and the front office, this news changes the leverage dynamics completely. Music, it forces us to look much deeper into how a superstar can navigate an uncomfortable, suboptimal professional environment when their personal life becomes deeply institutionalized within the exact same market. To truly understand why this G League hiring is a massive chess piece, you have to look at the severe basketball environment Clark is currently enduring on the floor. Roster pieces like Kelsey Mitchell continue to operate in isolation-heavy styles that directly clash with the fast-paced, music, heliocentric system that made Clark a collegiate phenomenon at the University of Iowa. The roster sits hovering around the .500 mark, struggling to find a cohesive identity, while the coaching staff appears completely committed to a slow, traditional, inside-out methodology. By placing McCaffrey in a prominent developmental role within the Pacers organization, the franchise has successfully created a stabilizing environment for Clark off the court. Yet, it simultaneously heightens the stakes for the upcoming basketball decisions. Clark cannot afford to let her career goals be compromised by a system that leaves her out to dry on her defensive weaknesses while failing to exploit her historic offensive strengths. This creates an unprecedented standoff in modern women's professional sports. Does a superstar player accept a flawed coaching regime and an ill-fitting roster simply because the local market accommodates their personal relationships? Or does she hold the organization's feet to the fire, using the threat of a contract standoff to demand the dismissal of leadership that refuses to build an elite modern system around her? Stephanie White insists that her relationship with Clark is great and that both competitors are simply stubborn, emotional, and cut from the exact same cloth. But stubbornness without a tactical compromise leads directly to a stagnant product on the floor. The real test will come when the front office has to make definitive choices regarding roster upgrades and coaching extensions. If the Fever organization believes that anchoring McCaffrey in Noblesville secures Clark's blind loyalty without requiring them to overhaul the coaching staff, they are deeply miscalculating the ambition of their star player. The modern athlete understands their value as a global brand. Clark is currently operating in an environment where her natural game is being actively suppressed, and no amount of geographic convenience can completely cover up a broken basketball philosophy. So the ultimate question shifts directly to the fans and analysts watching this power dynamic unfold. Is the anchoring of Caitlin Clark in the Indiana system a brilliant management move to secure a long-term superstar extension, or is it a temporary band-aid on an organizational relationship that is bound to explode? If you were guiding Caitlin Clark's career right now, would you advise her to sign a long-term deal to stay in Indiana, or should she hold out and force a massive organizational overhaul from the top down? Drop your thoughts, your tactical breakdowns, and your predictions in the comments below, and let's get into it.